I was supposed to be happy. I was supposed to be really happy. After all, I'd been infertile for 10 years, and I had sought that baby with tears. I mean, when I read the Old Testament and they use those infertility guys, I'm thinking, that sounds really attractive to me. I was really desirous of having that baby, so much so that someone said to me in love, is it possible that that pregnancy could be an idol in your life? So when I got a phone call about a birth mom who had chosen us and had wanted us to parent her baby daughter, we were euphoric. We were over the moon. We were so happy. And you know what? My whole local church was happy for me. It was like a parade. And the little girl was born just a week later, and it was just heaven came down and glory filled my soul. And lo and behold, at almost 40, I conceived a little girl 9 months later, and she was born, and her name was Grace. And so you would think that I was like the happiest girl ever. This was what I wanted. But what I didn't plan on was the little baby that I received would be diagnosed with autism. And I just, we talked about Enneagrams. I'm a 7. The notion of being secluded in my house with these 2 babies, I wasn't equipped. I didn't have my friends had all gone back to work. I'm like, wait, where are you going? You got a full-time job? No, wait, come back here. You're the one who told me to adopt. Where are you going? I got to go back to work. So there I was having to actually grow up. I was not young. I was touching up my gray roots, and I had 2 babies, and I felt like I was in the nursery 24/7 trying to keep these little girls happy. And there's something in this culture that is the real truth. You can kick out a lousy husband, but if you're a crappy mom, you really can't do that. You can't tell your friends, this little girl is driving me crazy. This little girl never sleeps. This little girl doesn't keep down food. You're not allowed to say that. Someone said to me, you weren't happy when you didn't have kids. You're not happy with kids. You're just not ever happy. And I was like, God, you got to show up, because I've been preaching all this junk about your faithfulness for a real long time, and I got to put my money where my mouth is. And I'm that girl showing up with dirty hair and gray roots and sweatpants that I never thought I'd be that girl. And people call me and like, well, can you help me with that banquet? I'm like, no, she don't live here no more. I mean, I had, a lot of education. I graduated. I had a master's degree, recent master's degree. I think my husband sent me to graduate school with a gun in my head because he didn't want me to go crazy. It's like either put her in a nut house or send her back to school. So I had the big degree, and I got the big job, and then the little girls were born. It was like sending the clowns. It was all the wrong times for my life. But I said to myself, if God is who he says he is, then his word must have answers for me. So I said to myself, there must be some girl in this Bible that I can look at. And Deborah, she went into battle. She fought a big war thing. I'm like, that's not that hard. That sounds like fun to me. And Esther, she got to wear a lot of makeup, and I love makeup, so that was not that hard. And I looked at Mary, and she's super virtuous, but basically she had to be brave, and I could be brave. But the monotony and the tedious nature of any given day on Tuesday in a beat-up house with little babies in the rain in Rochester, I was not handling it. And then something happened to me. I read Mark 6, and it says that Jesus said to them, come, you have come from ministry, and you're tired, and you haven't had time to eat, and you haven't had time to rest. Come and tell me how it went. And I'm like, oh, that's like me. When people, at the end of the day, come and tell me how your day was. He's God. He knew how the day was. He just wanted to hear them talk. And then he said, you need something to eat. And then he said, why don't you rest for a while? And I said to myself, the person in Scripture who models nurture better than anybody isn't some girl. We're celebrating women. I'm not against women. But I didn't expect for Jesus to be the one who modeled nurture the best. Dance, not really. Those disciples, they were reluctant learners. They really weren't the talented 10th. And he strives with them, and he invests in them, and he reteaches them. And then he affirms their humanity. He affirms the fact that they're tired, they're thirsty. And then, in that same following moment, he teaches them how to feed the 5,000. Do you know, he didn't actually, he took, he blessed, he broke, he gave the bread, but he sent them with the actual bread and fish. He says, go make all them people happy. They're like, wait, what? He sent them, after he refreshed them, he equipped them, and he instructed them to go and do the ministry. And as a mom, that is my my joy and my crown is that my kids will be equipped in faith, that the first language is faith that comes out of them to go and do the work of the kingdom. But first they have to be nurtured and corrected, protected, all those maternal things that Jesus does. He's the ultimate nurturer, and he's teaching me how to not only take time for myself to rest. Someone read my happy Matthew 11:28 scripture from the Message Bible. Come on to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. But after we've rested, after we've taken the time to eat, then he equips us to go and do the exploits, the supernatural, the miraculous, feeding the natural. All that comes as a progression from first endorsing our humanity and then entrusting us with the miraculous. And that, as a mom, is what I want to do.